Hello and welcome to Noshing with Nashies Vlogtober Day 10. We're going to be doing beef stew today. I've got here a package of stew meat. It's a little bit frozen, but that's fine. I've got a little bit of ketchup. You can use tomato paste if that's what you've got. I like the little bit of sweet and vinegar from the ketchup itself. We've got a little oil, some Maggi, you can use regular beef stock if that's what you've got, some Vegeta seasoning, which is all-purpose seasoning. We've got some black pepper, an onion, we've got some celery, some carrots, and we've got some little tiny potatoes here. All right, I'm going to get my meat going and chop up my veggies. All right, I've had my meat going for a while here. As you know, it was still a little bit frozen because I forgot to take it down a little bit earlier. That's on me. But it's fine to add your frozen meat to the pot. The thing about stew meat when it's pre-cut is oftentimes they will cut it into big chunks, and you want slightly smaller chunks. So what I do is, as I'm cooking it and it kind of thaws out, I take some kitchen shears and just chop it into smaller pieces. If it's previously thawed or fresh, you can just cut it up with a knife and that's fine. But I go ahead and I let it cook in its juices like this. It just concentrates the beef flavor. And in just a minute, I'm going to add in my veggies and stock and everything. All right, our water has cooked off here, as you can see. And it is starting to smell good. I did add just a little bit of salt to this. At this point, I haven't added any pepper or any other seasonings yet. But I like to get a little brown on the meat because it lends a deeper flavor to the soup itself when you have those kind of little stuck bits on the bottom. Not burnt, but just charred a tiny bit. It gives the meat just a little bit more flavor. And so what I do is get everybody a little brown. You can see everything's starting to brown there. And then I go ahead and add my vegetables and let them roll around for just a few seconds before I add in my water or stock. And what I have here in this bowl is I've got 4 carrots. It's technically 6, but they were tiny carrots, so I'm going to go with, that'd be 4 normal-sized carrots. 6 stalks of celery with the tops, and 1 whole onion. Just going to throw those in. I just kind of like to do this dry before adding anything in. And this would also be the perfect time to add in flour if you're going to use flour to thicken your stew, which I'm going to use my potatoes, which will go in about 30 minutes before the soup is ready to go. This just kind of blooms the flavor a little bit. You can see that meat's nice and brown. That mixed in, and now we're going to add 6 to 8 cups of water. That is your choice. I just kind of eyeball it right there. That looks good. And we want to get those bits off the bottom. I am going to add a little bit more water to this because it's going to boil down as we let it simmer, which it will simmer for, around about an hour to get nice and soft. Just going to add that in there a bit more. Mix that around. And now we go in with our seasonings. And yes, of course, I'm using the kitty. Let me grab my seasonings here. First, we'll start with some pepper. Start with 1/4 teaspoon, up it to 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon, whatever you like. I like mine good and peppery. So we're going to throw you in there. Come here, open up. Thank you. Okay, now this here is, I don't want this to fall, is my Vegeta seasoning, or Vegeta seasoning. I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of this. Like I said, you can use your beef base. I just like that this has kind of an umami flavor, and it goes really well with our German best friend here, Maggi. If you don't have the giant thing of Maggi, are you even German? And what I do is about 6 shakes of this, and we will season it up fully later, once everything has come together. This is kind of like German soy sauce, if you imagine it that way. Kitchen bouquet, those kind of things. And what we're going to do now is bring this up to a boil and then cut it back to a simmer and just let it cook its little self all happy and yummy. Alright, now that my soup's been rolling for a while and I skimmed off some of that icky foam that comes to the top, I am going to put in about 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Again, you can use the tomato paste, which is perfectly fine. I like the sweet and the vinegar of ketchup. You don't have to add anything else. It goes great with Maggi. So I'm just going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Gives it that depth of flavor there and makes an enjoyable noise. And we're just going to go ahead and let this boil some more. We want to reduce it. And then toward the end, like I said, about a half an hour before I'm going to finish this off, I'm going to add my potatoes. Alright, now that we've been bubbling away since the dawn of time, I'm going to go ahead and add my potatoes. Be very careful when adding your potatoes so they don't splash on you. And then, because I added some extra pepper while I was doing the fast motion there, I'm going to go ahead and add some garlic powder. There is some garlic in the vegeta, which is why I let it cook for a while, but I want to taste it when it concentrates down, you know, to make sure I'm not over anything. So you can't really have too much garlic. So I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder to that. And then I am going to add a couple more dashes of this Maggi. It's a very robust flavor. And we're just going to let this cook for about another half an hour. And then I'm going to serve it up with some leftover cornbread from Costco that I have. Alright, it's been about a half an hour and I warmed up some cornbread in the oven, and you can see that the potatoes have thickened up the soup quite a bit. If you are having issues with tightening up a soup or stew, you can actually use a packet of gravy or some cornstarch slurry. It works fantastic. That's why I always say watch your salt in case you have to make modifications at the very end. And there we have it, some beautiful beef stew served with some leftover Costco cornbread. Thank you so much for joining me for this Vlogtober edition of Noshing with Nashies. If you have enjoyed, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.